All right. Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the podcast Those Who Cope. Today I am here with Funky as well as two of our esteemed members who have been very active and engaged within our communities. So, hello and welcome, guys. Thank you for joining me today.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Today our topic of discussion is going to be a little bit less structured as compared to the introductory episode in which I had a whole script prepared for this. But in this one, we're going to be covering MMO problems. So, when I introduced the podcast in the previous episode, I said that I'll be focusing on more positive aspects. Of course, it didn't go quite to plan. We just ended up bashing New World as we always do. So I decided that instead of having New World constantly brought into our episodes, we can just fully bash it out along with other mechanics or systems or bugs or whatever that we have experienced in previous MMOs. For example, the window shake in New World, the paladins in World of Warcraft, the Dragon Knights in ESO, and the list goes on. Pay to win in Lost Ark or the Honing system. Yeah, basically, we just want to cleanse ourselves of all this negativity, all this hardship and experiences that we've had in MMOs in the past. Now, Funky has been gracious enough to actually compose us a list of what he doesn't like about MMOs. He's very opinionated, as with much of our community, very opinionated. We'll tell you if it's something shit, and we'll tell you exactly why. So I will move this on to Funky with his first thing that he does not like about MMOs.
Oh, and to me right away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, do we even need to cover pay to win? I'm pretty sure that pay to win and its elements are quite self-explanatory.
They are very
Is there
self-explanatory.
anyone rich here?
Not quite
Yeah.
yet. Not quite yet. We gotta get the donations in. That's all I know.
But the second thing that has been quite well, people have been exposed to it right now for quite a lot in the Ashes of Creation community is combat mounts and pets, and I have a very big gripe and very big problem with them. Not sure who here played Albion or who played Arcade and those sorts of games that did have combat pets and combat mounts, but they were not not a very good decision in my opinion.
Right.
So,
Can I say something a little bit controversial?
Yeah, go on.
I
go for it.
hate pets in general, in any game, MMO related or otherwise.
That's very controversial.
Yeah.
I understand there's like a whole audience, my fiance being one of them, who loves nothing more than having a cute little pet or a couple of cute little pets run round with you and do whatever. Personally, for me, it just gets in the way, does my head in. I look at that when I should be looking at other things. Um, I don't hate cats and dogs in real life though. That I've just seen.
Right,
And
right, yeah,
not,
yeah.
That's not.
That's where you draw the line.
I have a dog. I have a dog, and I treat him like I give birth to him. Right. I promise you now. I love real animals, but in games, I'll be honest, pets just do my head in. I'm sorry, and I know that's really controversial, but
Okay, so you hate them because of the AI, right?
yeah, they just. You know, when you log into a crowded game, right? Which is fucking rare in MMOs these days. But you know, I'm talking like back in the day. You'd log in and you were in like the latest area, like for example, Valdrakken in World of Warcraft. It's crowded as shit. Everyone's there. The auction house and everything's there. So everyone logs in there. It's where they get their rested XP, and then it's bad enough. Like speaking from a World of Warcraft point of view, it's bad enough when you see everyone just sitting on their mounts. Like why? Why? Like you don't need to be on your mount right now. it just takes up space on my screen. I'm probably sounding very selfish here, and
No,
I know
no,
it sounds
no.
really bad, but
No, absolutely not. I completely understand where you're coming from, especially in the sense of taking up space, right? I spend a fucking countless hours at the team mod guy in WoW, right? And I make the sickest fucking outfits. One day I'll show them on stream because I'm very proud of them. But yeah, I would like people to see that. But more time, man, has zoomed out full fucking way and just sit on their mounts, and no one actually sees your outfit unless they inspect you or something along those lines. Like,
I mean,
So-
on the back of that note, again, controversial. I don't care for transmogs at all. I just wear whatever my gear looks like.
I mean, I can understand why you
Yeah,
would
true.
not like it in the essence of you do not know what your opponent is wearing in PvP, so you can't like gauge what, like, if they're in the highest tier set or whatever, or
Yeah.
something along those lines. Like, I understand why that would be a little bit annoying, right?
In games where you don't have add-ons to actually gauge the gear of the enemy player,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
would
yeah.
be very relevant.
Yep.
I'll
Yeah.
give an example. Like ASO, there is like, because I've spent countless hours on that game. There is loads of like they're called, I don't know if any of you have played it, but they're called motifs. They're just like transmogs essentially. Like, so you can
Yeah.
you pick up one piece of armor that is designed a certain way, and then you can, if you get that motif, it can be applied to any other armor in the game.
Yeah.
And I have shitloads, just that I've never even. It takes me 2 seconds to click on them. Once you get the motif, you just click on it, and your character learns it.
Mm.
It takes me that time. It takes me literally 2 seconds, and I just don't do it. If there's a costume I unlock that I can literally go into my collections and, like, not like a transmog, but like an appearance feature thing, if there's one I really like, I might sometimes wear them, but that's about as far as it really goes for me.
Oh, fair enough. I mean, I am very. I call it fashionscape, right? Because it
Yeah.
really does come from RuneScape and like putting
Huh.
shit together. So my fashionscape on games is very crucial for me. Funky knows as well that I basically made an outfit in New World with like multiple different costumes in a store that kind of correlated and made my own thing. So
Yeah, it was horrid.
Shut up. Shut up. I loved it. It was like a nice beige look, and I had the not bandana, the bandages around my face, and it was very iconic. I liked it. It was very iconic. You know it
You
was
were
me.
very easily recognized in PvP.
Yeah. Everyone
Yeah,
knew
such
that.
a good decision.
No. It worked because, you know, I was getting better because people would come for me, and then I would just, you know, press shift a little bit better. So yeah, I really enjoy my fashionscape. That's what I'm saying. I'm not offended by your opinion, Louis. I completely understand it, but I'd have to disagree. I do really enjoy transmogging games, personally.
I mean, I personally do not hate mounts though. Like if mount serves a purpose to get from point A to point B, I don't care about it. It's okay. It's the battle mounts that I have problems with. Why? The reason behind that is previous games and previous experiences. Like again, Albion arcades and stuff like that. People would rename those mounts. First of all, they would rename them and put them on the shot caller. Like, okay, first 2, 3, 5 wars, you won't know who the guild's shot caller is, so on and so forth. But later on into the game, like a month or 2 months, that was a real problem. Literally, people putting name tags on those combat mounts, putting them on the shot caller and protecting them. You weren't able to approach the shot caller just because of the amount of combat mounts around them, right? And not only that, it wastes server resources in majority of the times. Also, there's hundreds of them, and maybe 5 are useful, and everyone is running those 5, right? So in
Yeah.
terms of technical things and PvE, they serve really no purpose apart from being a clutter and being a nuisance. Well,
Fair.
again, in my opinion.
No.
I agree. It goes back to what I was saying, just like not in in regards to the battle mounts. Like, I get what you're saying in regards to like having a mount to get from point A to point B. I totally understand that. It's my frustration comes from, like, let's say I'm flying in. I'll again use World of Warcraft as an example. Let's say I'm flying into Veldraken, and then my game just nearly shits a fucking brick because there's that many people there and they're all on their mounts just sitting there, and it takes up, like you say, all them resources. And like, you know, when your game just gets like suddenly really laggy for a few seconds while it adjusts to all the bullshit that's going on around it.
Yeah.
That's where my frustration comes. I've never played a game with battle mounts, to my knowledge. Well, not MMOs related. I haven't, so I
Oh, you
can't
should try
comment on
Albion.
that.
It's great.
Is it? Sounds it?
Yeah.
I sound like I would just get annoyed looking at it.
See, I'm not trying to play devil's advocate. I promise you. I promise you, I'm not trying to just be an opposition. But I do like the idea of battle mode. Let me explain why. In PvP, in MMOs, there is not enough flavor, right? It is all the same kind of shit. You have your rotation, you perform said rotation, you think about positioning, you think about, I don't know, whatever the fuck else aspects of PvP that you want to consider when going into that, right? But it's all the fucking same on every MMO. Battle mounts add an aspect that adds some kind of spice, right? There's something else I have to think about when I engage in like a large scale PvP battle or whatever, like with Albion, which is why I kind of enjoy like that kind of aspect of the game, you know. I don't think that it's amazing. Like it's there does have its problems, like you guys were saying, but I think that as a concept, it does add something different, right? And I can appreciate something different in that sense. But yeah, go on.
I have a question for you though. What happens if, again, there are only a couple of months that are actively being used that are actually useful? But then doesn't your whole thingy of new skills, new abilities, something more to think about go out of the window pretty fast?
In the sense of players have metarized the concept and made it efficient as possible, and it helps them the best in the situation that they're currently in, then I would agree that it does become simplified. It becomes more of a chore, an extra chore within the gameplay that may not be fun. I don't see that as part of the problem with community. It's just that the developers haven't got it right, you know? Like,
yeah, true.
Like I think,
like for our part, what we are trying to do, I just see it as a chore, as you said.
Same.
fair.
My main problem with battle mounts is that they are either too simplified or too overcomplicated. They like the simplified version usually has like maximum 5 abilities, and that just makes it like a chore addition. You have to get on the mount and do something because they make it obligatory, otherwise no one would use it. But then it just becomes boring because it doesn't really have any depth to it. Or they make it too complex, like a rock paper scissors situation where you have something to beat something else, like you use the mount to beat something, but then it's also kind of becomes a chore, and you don't really have like an interesting rotation like you usually attach to your character and to your rotation because you like that kind of gameplay. And mounts usually don't have like that kind of complexity. I haven't really said anything. I haven't really seen in an MMO anything that was complex enough but not overcomplicated, and like I haven't seen an iteration that I felt was correct or good or was really in the gameplay.
Yeah,
Neither.
fair. That, yeah, everything you said there, I can absolutely agree with. I feel like as it's not a early concept per se. Like it's not like something that hasn't been in the minds of people for decades, right? But I feel like it still just hasn't been implemented well. Hopefully, with Steven's godly grace, he will be able to somehow make them be a perfect synergy of having it be useful, but not having it be too useful, as well as not making it too simple that there's no point in even having them in the first place. Like finding that balance. Of course, it is a fucking titan of a job. I'll give you that. So hopefully, you know, there will be a developer who's able to find that perfection and give it to us, honestly. But yeah, that was a great first topic. But battle mounts and battle pets, I think covered that quite well. What is the next on the list, Funky?
Ooh, we can go through the list. Let me find something saucy.
Oh.
I mean, apparently
mm.
everything I say is sort of, so you just want me to think and like just speak and yeah. I say one thing and I suddenly get accused of hating pets in real life.
Oh yeah, same. We have that in common, I guess.
That's fucking brilliant.
Locking content behind gear score.
Big one.
Personally, I have a grudge against that, but I'm not sure about you all.
Yeah, that's something that like
Depends.
oh, sorry, go on. I'll let you go, Abby.
You can say it's just for me. It very much depends on like how high of a gear score you lock it behind.
The problem that I find with it is, again, I'm going to use like WoW as an example, but like at the start of a new expansion, there's a new raid, right? Or even not even an expansion, like like a 0.5 patch, or like like what I'm like one of them smaller patches. They'll bring out a
Yeah.
new raid, for example, and everyone will be grinding it, and then it's not even just the game that like what you're saying there, where the game locks it behind a gear score. It's like you have all these tryhards who'll rush and rush. I mean, we can't really talk, but because I mean, like that's literally what we promote and like what I am that kind of person for. But for example, like I didn't play a WoW at the start of one season, and I know for a fact the gear score that I had at that time could have coped fine in a normal raid. But because everyone had been hammering it and hammering it and hammering it, even the people creating the public groups, for example, were like minimum this eye level or minimum this gear score or so. Do you know what I mean? So it's like it's not just the game locking you behind it; it's the people at the top end. Because you've got to remember, like not
Yeah.
every person who plays an MMO plays it to be like at end game. They might just want to like try it out. But if their experience of trying it out is being told they're not good enough, it's not going to make people want to continue to play it.
Oh
Does
yeah,
that make
definitely.
sense, or am I just going on a fucking
No,
tangent?
absolutely.
Yeah, they will buy the boost.
By the boost. Alright, that just goes back to pay to win, and I think you could have a whole episode on pay to win.
No, we definitely will. We definitely will.
Yeah, because that's like we'll be here for hours if you get me
Oh,
on pay to
absolutely.
win.
Yeah, I agree. As you were saying, Louis, with the like it being a community thing and barring people based on gear score and eye level or whatever. That has been a WoW problem since the dawn of man. I'm not gonna lie. Even within season of Discovery, you see that. You see a gear score limit. You're fucking level 20. For fuck's sake, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like
How hard
hey,
can it be? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it isn't. I've done BFD. I've done all those raids. I healed it as the shittiest healer in the game, the Resto Druid, because that's fuck all. You're literally a wild growth fucking click one button. That's your job done. But yeah, it's so simple and so easy. And people still fucking bar it. It really is confusing. I can understand for like something that has mechanics and whatnot. You want people who at least watch the fucking video. It makes complete sense. I have set up raids before. I do not want to have my time wasted, so I can understand why they would have that.
I get that.
But it's still a bit weird when you got a fucking level 20 raid and it's still a thing in the community. Like it's become ingrained within WoW. That is a definite a good point to bring up there.
Yeah, I definitely agree in that sense, because like you say, there is that frustration of running a group and having someone not know anything. But on the other hand, it's like, for example, it's you can't base that just off their gear score, if that makes sense. At least,
No,
do you
absolutely.
know what I mean? Like
No, absolutely, yeah.
that's kind of the point I was making. Like I understand that, like obviously, there's people who just don't grasp things and don't get it, and that's fine. But the idea of like being like, oh, your gear score's not high enough. Like, hang on, mate, I've fucking raided 1,000,001 times. I know these mechanics. Like you're saying there with BFD, like fuck me, I could do that blindfolded. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you could put me in like I can't even think what the classes are because they done the bloody rune thing. But like shaman tank was a new thing. and I
Oh,
tagged
yeah,
it
yeah,
as,
yeah.
as that, for example. I don't know how that actually was meant. I don't know if it was meant to be a good class or not, but I managed it on a shaman tank. No bother. But a lot
Yeah.
of people, that was with people I knew. You know what I mean? Like if it's with people who don't know, they go, ah, you're a shaman tank. I'm not saying shaman tank is bad. I don't know what it is in compared to the rest. But as an example, like you could just get people being like, oh no, like you're a shaman tank, fuck off.
Yeah,
And then
like,
that can like spoil it for like newer people to the game who are trying to get into it.
yeah, absolutely.
This is a huge problem for Lost Ark.
Was it?
Yeah, humongous problem for Lost Ark because dungeons and raids were actually hard and had quite decent mechanics. And because the game was released for another year, for a year or two in Korea, and then a year in Russia, it was, I think. People just kind of knew everything and they expected you to know all of the mechanics before even going into the raid, right? So you had the gear score requirement, sure, you met it, and then it was like, oh, you're a first-time raider. Well, do you know the raid? And majority of people are gonna say yes. Let's be honest, even if you
Yeah.
don't know it. The problem is that every mechanic in that game almost wipes the whole party, right? There is not a single mechanic that is like, you get punished. No, it's the whole party gets punished, right?
Right.
So it was a kick fest. Someone fucks up a mechanic, you're kicked from the whole raid, from the group, and that's about it. Like, so that was a huge problem, and a lot of people quit the game because of it. Also, when it comes to gear score scaling, to get back on the topic of games implementing it, not people themselves, right? I think that New World, what they did with mutations, not sure. Well, I know that Lamsey played. I know that Louis played. I'm not sure about Arif, but what they did with mutations, hard limiting you to what tier of mutation you can do with gear score, because the mutation would literally get 200% harder if you didn't meet the gear score requirement. So it wasn't a skill issue; it
Yeah.
was them limiting you by gear, limiting you by an artificial number and not by skill. And in my opinion, if you're doing meetings in WoW or those mutations in New World, it should be something skillful. It should be something that top players, either in PvP or PvE or whatever, go for to achieve something, either a leaderboard or a specific item or just high score, doesn't matter. But it should be reflective of skill, not of gear score.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. It's funny how you mentioned New World as well, because one of the things that they said was we're gonna make like it easier for people to get into um easier into the end game, and all they changed was instead of having 20 mutations, there's now just 3. It's
Yeah.
still locked behind a gear score. It's still exactly the same. There's just 3 levels of difficulty now. So it's like that's not helping people at all. You're still doing the exact same things like you've just said, Funky, of like locking it behind a skill gear score, sorry, some random number. You could have someone, especially with the way New Worlds worked on the auction house, and especially now. I don't know how recently you have played it, but you know how you used to have to do the gypsum to upgrade your gear
Yep.
score past, was it
Mm-hmm.
625? That
Uh, Past
that doesn't
600 it was.
well, yeah, I can't remember. Well, the new gear score cap is 700, and you can
Yeah.
literally, they got rid of that completely. So now you can just go on the auction house and buy 700 gear score. So you could get someone who's willing to pay some money. Again, I'm not trying to get into pay to win conversation, but let's say you've got someone who pays someone like they hit level what's the fucking cap now, 65 or some bullshit. You
I'm
hit
not sure.
65, they then buy some gold online, because that's a thing I recently discovered that people do,
Oh yeah.
that people buy gold off people online. So literally it gets to that point where you could say like, right, okay, I've just hit 65 in New World. I'm now going to pay this weird person online. I don't condone anyone paying any weird people online, by the way, just getting that out there. To give me a shitload of gold. I'm now going to buy a load of 700 gear score items, and I can now go into the top mutation. I've done nothing to prove I'm good enough at doing it. I've got no experience in doing any of the mutations at that point, but I can literally just buy my way into it. Which is
I had no clue that they implemented that.
yeah, you can literally just go on now and buy the highest gear score level off the I call it the auction house, but whatever fucking New World call it.
The trading
Yeah.
post, huh?
Market.
Well, they implemented that. That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, so like in
Yeah.
the I don't know if it was as soon as Angry Earth released, but like not long after, or it might have been it was like one of the seasons because they do that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you literally can. They got rid of the whole gypsum kiln thing, everything. Which, on the other hand, I fucking hated that system as well because it was such a pain.
We
But-
just can't. They can't win.
Yeah, I know they can't, and I know they're still trying. But I just, even as someone who's meant to represent them, I openly
Oh
say
yeah,
this.
you're sponsored
yeah,
by
That's a
them.
good
Yeah,
point.
yeah, but like I've openly said this to many people within that community as well, that New World need to get a grip on what they want to actually fucking do.
Yeah,
Because
true.
it's like it went from being the most tedious, boring endgame system in the world to now literally it's just buy it. So go farm some gold and there you go, you can go do a top mutation. But then you've got
no, they-
another guy who's skilled, he's played the game since launch, he knows exactly everything he's doing, but he's grinding it. He's not buying stuff off the auction house because he wants to get the right rolls and whatever, the right perks and all that sort of stuff. He's taking his time. He's going through the mutations. He could probably go into that higher tier and at least survive if it wasn't gonna do 200% more damage to him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And I just think it's a backwards system they've got going at the minute, which is weird.
So they're kind of slowly trying to get rid of all PvPers from what I saw, because predominantly after the game died, only PvPers stayed, and
Yeah.
that was the only decent part about the game. Well, for myself at least.
No, that was the general
And,
gist of it. Like
I mean-
all the politics and everything, like it was all centered around the PvP on the game. Like there was a thriving community at least at the time. Like a year
Yeah,
or
but
so
they're
after
trying to
release.
kill it. It seems like.
Yeah, they've strangled it, mate. They've strangled it in the back alley and kicked it fucking so many times. Honestly, it is thoroughly upsetting to see because I did enjoy the fucking New World combat and the PvP in general.
Yeah, same.
Totally different style of healing that I was never exposed to before. Like it was insane. I had to fucking skill shot my shit to optimize it. I had to make sure that I'm not wasting CDs because you only got 3 skills. There was a skill ceiling that I hit very early, and I had to find other people who had broken through that ceiling in order to get advice to get. It was so good, but yeah, it just seems that they can't get a core identity attached to the game. If they just went full PvP, it would have been fucking amazing. Very, very
Yeah.
lost with waste. It's a shame.
I massively agree. Again, I'd never. You had to get good, like what you're saying there. Like, I know it sounds harsh to some people because they don't like that term. More in the Dark Souls community than the MMO community, but do you know what I mean? Like when you tell someone like you've got to get good, but that was the whole point of New World, was you had to learn. It was a brand new game. You had to figure things out for yourself, and like you say, you only get 3 skills. You couldn't bash a load of defensives like you can on WoW. You couldn't,
Yeah.
like get out of situations without figuring it out yourself. And it actually took time to really get to, like you say, break through that cap or that ceiling and figure out exactly what your identity was, never mind what the game's identity was, because there was that much, you had to figure out for yourself, like, oh, I want to do this, or I need to play like this, or I want to be a bruiser, right? Okay. I mean, let's be honest now, everyone, again, I don't know how recently you've played it, but if you're a bruiser in New World PvP, you're pretty much okay, because they've predominantly made a lot of stuff around PvE now. So the like the aspects and the I forget what they call them. They just call them perks, like the armor stat thing.
Yeah, perks. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the perks and stuff all got revamped, and a lot of them changed, and again, like what Funky said, it's predominantly they're all a lot more PvE focused now. But it made sure that like you were quite tanky, for high end mutations and stuff, and you could take a lot of damage. So now bruisers are just running around PvP, just not dying
Okay, now
without
that
even
you
trying to be.
now that you said that, changing perks and stuff like that, I would like to move us into kind of another topic, but it links to this one. What do you guys think about I guess changing core mechanics of the game when it was already out for a year or two and things like yeah, when it was out already and people had gear for the current thingies and did them fine, right? But when you change, let's say, a gearing system, majority of the people lose that set gear that they grind very hard for, and basically kind of restarting players by adding by adding a new system or restarting a current one or adding something massive to the new one like New World did with new bricks and stuff like that. Because I personally lost 2 million gold in bruiser gear to a new system.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it does devalue literally everything when you do not have the same kind of fucking advantage from the armor, right? That is just I don't think they really considered that, right? The fact that people have spent a literally double amount of max gold on an item, and the item just next patch becomes useless, of course, those people that have that kind of money and in the economy of a PvP based server, that is very common to have that kind of money. But it's still like very very upsetting that to see that. I don't even want to log in because I don't I don't want to see the damage on my account. That's all I know as well.
Did any other game do that sort of mistake? Did WoW ever do that?
What, make devalue something till it becomes useless?
Yeah.
Like in a fucking instant. I cannot
I think
recall.
every single MMO.
I mean,
No?
kind of, but not into the
Technically,
capacity
you're
of
doing
this.
that every time you raise the level cap.
Yeah.
I mean, nah, I don't think you're
I guess you're
devaluing
not
it.
wrong.
I don't think you're devaluing it in that sense.
Depends. All depends.
Because
If you can upgrade that gear, then no. If you cannot upgrade that gear, and if you cannot add perks, and there's a on your set of armor that has 4 perks instead of 3, then you are heavily devaluing it.
I mean, but the trade-off of that devaluation of that said tier set, whatever, is that you get a whole new fucking game, a whole new expansion, like more often than not,
True, yeah.
I mean, with
I
New
want my 2
World,
million gold back.
no, with New World, right? Do I see Rise of the Earth as a expansion, as they call it? No. I'll be honest, not really. There's not really
not at all.
much. It's just reskins. I was impressed in some of the quest boss, right? I remember watching some stuff on it, and I saw that there was quest boss and with actual mechanics and shit. I am glad that they're moving in that kind of direction in terms of PvE, but you do not have to kill PvE at PvP at the same time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
You can't have both.
yeah, the pros and cons of the whole fucking scenario is leaning into cons, like more majority than not. So yeah, I don't know how they're gonna actually recover. They probably have their community now that's just never gonna leave, right? If they're there and they've been through all that shit and they're still there, I think that they're just never gonna leave. It's their game, I'm not gonna bash them for that. Like, they do what makes you happy, but there are so many cracks within that fucking game that it just seems a bit lost at the moment, which is unfortunate. Really hope that they get better.
I didn't realize, and I just recently looked at this the other day, but I looked at the Steam charts for New World and I didn't realize it was as low as it actually was. But
10k, right?
I knew it was obviously going to be a lot lower, but I think I'm not trying to defend the game.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We will not shoot you.
I am in a way, in a sense that like a lot of people will just see a Steam chart like as a graph and go, yeah, the game's dying. But if you actually look at it, the reason it looks like it's on such a decline is because of just that initial spike it had when it first launched. You know, when everyone thought it was going to be the best new game ever.
Yeah.
The Steam chart was saying it was I think it hit like it was over 900,000 players on a specific date. Now they're averaging like 20,000, which in retrospect is not a small, it's not as big as some MMOs, like don't get us wrong, but it's nowhere near enough to be like on the verge of being pulled out or pulled off the table completely.
Yeah, true.
But I think New World gets a lot more stick than it does deserve it. I'm not going to not say that.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people just see that, and because there was such a big number at the start, it's very easy to just be like, "Oh yeah, it's a dead game." But if you
Yeah,
actually
I
look
mean-
at it, like over the last year, they still had lost viewers. I think they'd lost like players. Sorry, I think they'd went from like average of 36,000 down to 22,000. I think. So they're still doing something wrong, but I think like it's just basically what Lam said. There is that consistent like 20 odd thousand people who are still logging in every day and playing every day, and that's their game and that's what they enjoy.
Which is not a bad number.
Fair enough.
It's actually not a bad number. Like,
no.
Compare it to like, I don't know, like, fuck. What's a game that's on Steam that you can compare it to? I was gonna say Arcade Classic, but I think that's a private thing, right? I don't think that's actually
Yeah,
official.
Arcades were shut down. Classic is a private thing. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is Lost Ark.
Lost Ark, yeah, that's a good one actually.
It had like, I don't know, 500, 600K in the beginning, and now it's down to 30, 40.
That's still good. Not gonna lie.
Actually, it's down to 4,000 now.
Huh?
Wow. Really?
No, there's no way. Really?
I'm
4K
looking at it right now.
Lost Ark is down to 4K.
Its peak was 1.3 million. Its biggest ever 24-hour peak.
No, but it says average players this month 45,000. So.
Oh, sorry. I'm looking at the played recently one. Okay, sorry. Yes, okay. So 45.
Right.
Okay.
Do
we
That's
move on to another topic that, well, everyone can speak on?
Yeah.
I have a feeling that Ari didn't play a lot of New World, and we were kind of bashing New World here the whole time.
Seems to be a trend that we're following. We need to really try to not do that. Yeah, Funky, hit us off.
Overly complicated systems.
Ooh.
Does anyone have anything that first comes to mind?
I do, but I'm scared. I've done a lot of speaking.
World of Warcraft.
Yeah, that's literally what I was going to say.
Expansions. Not this one though, but the previous ones all had unnecessarily complex systems with unnecessarily long grinds for finishing the system that like eventually just when you finished it was irrelevant. By the time you finished it, I mean. So
oh yeah, totally. And
it was horrible.
And just to not like argue your point, I do agree with everything you've just said, but the system now, like your upgrade system, it's a lot simpler than it used to be, but it does nowhere in the game do they explain it, how it works, or if they do, I definitely skipped it.
They change it every single season. Why would they
that
explain
too?
like
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? It's like if you're not willing to YouTube 5 different videos figuring it out, even the system now is still a little bit like not new user friendly. You kind of at least have to have a bit of knowledge or be willing to go and learn. And again, I think like what Funky says, the whole reason overcomplicated like systems, like Arvi said, the World of Warcraft system or anything like that, it can scare people off.
Yeah.
It makes them not want to play the end game, which in reality, end game's the reason you should want to play an MMO.
Well, an end game MMO because World of Warcraft is an end game MMO because there is only content in the end game.
Hey, you know what? I'll fight you. So
I was about to ask a question as well.
No. I'm fighting.
Okay,
Basically, right.
sure.
I think if I'm a new player, right, and I'm new to MMOs, right. One thing about MMOs that I really enjoy is about the lore and the story behind it. Okay, so as a new player, I feel like you shouldn't actually be thinking about endgame to begin with. I think that if you're gonna enjoy a game, you have to enjoy it in its entirety, or at least try to. If you're gonna be wanting to do that, right? So there is content for new players. They can experience all the stories, and they're not bad. They're not bad. I was the kid that read quests. Okay.
You mean in World of Warcraft? Because they
Yes.
removed key parts of the stories quests
Huh?
because they were time gated and FOMO logged.
Wait. Well, I mean,
I
the only
think
example of that I have is the Wrathgate, right? That's
Yeah,
that's
for
what
example,
made me
the
cry.
Wrathgate. That
That
was the first one.
Oh right, okay, and they since have done that,
so.
right?
There's more.
Yeah,
Which I
but
can.
they fully retconned Illidan's story. So basically, the Burning Crusade story is now completely different. As when you played it in the Burning Crusade, they retconned it in Legion.
Was it a retcon or was it a continuation? Because what parts? See,
Who
I
you
know my
ask
WoW.
it.
I know my WoW lore. Okay, I know that Illidan, he wanted to fight the Burning Legion, right? Which is why he did all the things he did within the Burning Crusade expansion. I don't remember how they retconned it. They may have, because with the jailer, they retconned fucking everything. That's when I stopped looking at the lore because I was like, okay, fuck this, I'm gone, safe. But I
I'm not
don't
sure about
remember
the
that.
details.
But I.
But they retconned the Keltas Sunstrider too.
Oh wait, I think I
Because of
remember that.
how it.
Yeah.
I don't remember how because I don't remember his original story and neither his new one. But like, it just became such a mess that I lost interest.
That is very true.
Like, I followed the story up until the end of Cataclysm, and when Pandas came, I just like, nope, okay, bye.
Yeah, really?
I like the
Pandas.
pandas.
Say, same. I
I like the
The
pandas.
story is actually good, but the
Mm.
theme,
Yeah.
horrendous.
Oh no.
No,
I
the
will
theme
not,
was amazing.
I'm arguing on that because if you're now saying that my monk called Poe is not cool, right? And my whole life's been a lie.
Okay, did you know that pandas in Warcraft 3 were an April's Fool's joke?
Well,
You're
Like
breaking my
the
heart.
panda hero,
You're...
that is the origin of the Pandaran race.
and look at
Is
how
an
they've
April
rose
Fool's
to the
joke.
top.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm saying
The-
this,
the only-
I haven't touched my fucking monk in like 2 seasons, but 2 expansions.
But
The only
lore
thing
is
that I
important.
remember from sorry, go on.
No, finish. I'm done.
I want to say the only thing that I remember from Mist of Pandaria is that one guy reaching max level without choosing.
Oh yeah,
Faction.
he was
Oh,
picking the
yeah.
He still
flowers.
does it. He still does it every expansion.
I don't know about that,
Champion.
but I just remember that.
He
Yeah.
does it through like gathering and mining.
Yep.
Like that's dedication.
That is dedication.
Yeah.
That takes fucking.
The kind of dedication.
Oh
I
my
do not
God.
have.
That's like worse than RuneScape grind. Like, that's on the next level of grind. You're getting like 1 XP, bro. You're gonna have to pick those 3 million flowers every fucking like 10 times over. What the fuck? How?
Now you can level with professions.
Well,
You can level 2.5 levels with professions in Dragonflight. With Dragonflight professions.
oh, you mean in Dragonflight? Now I mean like the guy
Yeah.
it does it on Turtle Island. He does it in level 1
Oh.
land.
Oh, because he can't leave, right?
Yeah, he doesn't leave it.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's without
god.
choosing.
Yeah, you see it.
Okay,
Are you
that's
see?
dedication.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my god.
That guy broke the Ethernet when he did it back then.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
remembered of it.
It was insane. It was insane. Oh, that's a
Oh.
good thing though. Like it was
Are
a fun
there
thing.
any other overly complicated systems in WoW or in other games that you guys encountered? I know, well, you Lambs spoke of RuneScape. I'm sure that it has some, considering that it's a very old MMO.
To be honest, they actually don't. I think that's what the charm is about the game, is that it's very, very fucking simple. You click on a rock and you click on it 10 million times and then you're max level.
Oh.
You know, it's that kind of game. I don't really know of any like overly complicated system. I guess the most complicated would probably be either farming or construction, and even then it's like, fuck me if you can't follow a checklist of how many planks you need, or if you can't plant some shit, then GG, I guess. I guess the
Fair enough.
quests you could say are overly complicated, but again, if you have like a plugin or something, it literally tells you what to do, and you could just walk through it, fucking not knowing anything. Maybe you'll have to watch a video for a boss or whatever, but it's still not overly complicated, I would say. Definitely not RuneScape. Well, I'm struggling to think of overly complicated systems because in general, I don't have any problems with most of the systems. Of course, in terms of like their reward and whatnot,
Yeah.
questionable. But in terms of like complexity, kind of stumped for that one, to be honest. Don't know if anyone else has any ideas.
I've never played RuneScape, so I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I
fair.
wouldn't know.
Well, in other MMOs, ESO, for example, or something that you played, or that Ari played.
ASO is like, it is complicated in a sense, but it's not. So, for example, imagine the way World of Warcraft does everything with like an expansion, the level cap raises, you have to get a new gear score, all that stuff. Imagine ASO is the total opposite of that game. So,
Right.
and it can be productive and counterproductive at the same time. So, like for example, Elder Scrolls Online is level 50 is the cap. It's been that way for 9 years now.
Since launch.
Since launch, yeah. I couldn't remember if they released it slightly less, but yeah, it's level 50.
No, it was 50, but
It
you
was
didn't have
50.
champion points, and then
You
they
didn't have
added
CP.
champion
You had
points.
veteran
Yeah.
points, didn't you, originally?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
those.
So they had veteran points, which was in kind it kind of like you get your score in a sense, but then not. But like as in it's something that you can
Get
you
perks,
you
right?
get after max level. Yeah, okay. That's the only thing it relates to in gear score. But then for example with
But still
ESO is
XP based. You just farm XP and you get it. So
yeah, it's purely
it's
XP
not.
based.
Yep.
And it's actually what is one of the good things about it is it's account wide. So
Oh yeah.
if you grind up to 1,000 champion point level, once you have an alt that's also level 50, you get all your champion points. Like you don't have to grind them again, which is good. But the one thing I'll say that overcomplicates ASO is because with each new expansion, or that nothing really changes in regards to level cap or anything like that. All
Mhm.
of the sets in the entire game, and I think there's over 2,000 now.
Oh my god.
Individual sets, because you can get crafted sets, you can get sets you can only get from dungeons, you've got trial sets, you've got PvP sets. All of them sets are still relevant. So they might nerf a shitload of sets one day, and then it's like the newest stuff that they bring out isn't always the best either.
Hmm.
So like some people have been running trials now, but they're still wearing the gear from the trials they got like 2 expansions ago.
I see.
And I think it makes it like
Yeah, but it can overcomplicate the gearing
yeah, it
system.
overcomplicates it because people
endgame
look at the
and
end game and they go, so to make sure I'm covered in every aspect, I have to do all of this old content or all
yeah,
of this.
yeah.
It's not even, you can't even call it old. It's just their content. They just have a load of content all at the same level.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So that
Yes.
it's a simpler way in certain aspects because you don't have to grind new sets all the time. But it's also an overcomplication if you're a newer player because you're like, where the fuck do I start with all this?
No,
If
I
that
can.
makes sense.
I see where you're coming from. It can, because of how old the MMO is.
Yeah.
It can become overcomplicated. That is seen in WoW. It's seen in ESO. It's seen in nearly every MMO that has existed for a portion of time. Right. I think that ESO is actually one of the ones that try to simplify that. While also including all the content that they have developed, right? And that I think a
Yeah.
player should experience, because when I was doing ESO shit and I was running dungeons as healer or whatever, I enjoyed the fact that I could just get into a dungeon when I did my random daily dungeon. I could get into a dungeon I've never fucking touched before, and still get pieces that are like, oh shit, this exists in the game. This set that does this. This will be good for that. For example, in your own theory crafting, if you're that kind of player.
Yeah.
I feel like ESO actually does that very well. I can see how it does get complicated. Like it's not like this is the latest gear that you need to get. Go get it. You get it from this place. It's more of a what works for yourself. So you have to like try things out and shit. I feel like that just adds a lot more flavor. It's
Oh
definitely
yeah, that's why I was a bit thinking about bringing it up, because I do overall, if I was to pick a system, I do prefer their system.
Mm.
But like, it's just I'm trying to think of it from someone who hasn't played the game for 10 years.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if I'm a new person who's used to WoW, for example, and just thinks, right, okay, get to 50, get my CP points, and then right, where's the latest content? And people actually no, mate, you've got to go do this, and this first. And they're a bit like, what? Why? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's the total opposite of what some people might be used to. That's the only thing I mean, like, as in it could be complicated for like, if it's not you, if you're not used to it. I might just be overthinking it. I don't know, but that's the only
No,
reason I brought it up.
yeah. It can.
Because it's a
generally,
lot of
like,
content. It can be like overwhelming more than complicated, probably. Is probably the better word to use.
yeah, I can see that. But yeah, generally in most games, latest content is probably the best or has the best gear for at
Mhm.
least one class or yeah, one sort of play style, which again, as you said, doesn't really work in ESO that way.
Yeah.
Um, anyone play the Final Fantasy with job systems and stuff like that, or Path of Exiles with overly complicated skill
Oh,
trees
Path of Exile. That's a good one.
that literally cover two of your screens if you have them. If not, you're kind of fucked. Um,
I've never. I've played Final Fantasy, but like only I'd never got to end game with it. I couldn't get into it.
right, yeah, same. Had the same problem. Um, Also, EVE Online, player-driven economy and skill trading system. I like haven't played it myself, but know enough about the game. But I really don't want to get into this one. This disaster.
I see. Maybe we can cover that in a specific episode. Just have one covering Eve. That would be pretty nice because I
Yeah,
know
if you
nothing
want to
about
study
it.
3 months before that episode, sure.
I mean,
We can do
you
it.
give me 2 weeks. If I put in some effort, I think I could, host that. Maybe I'll just watch a lot of pirate software and I should be good.
Oh, true. Good idea.
Yeah. But yeah, we can move on to a different topic. If you got what's next on the list, Funky.
Does anyone have anything on their mind to talk about?
I have two actually.
Go for it.
Okay, the first is time-gated FOMO. And by that, what I mean is,
Oh.
for example, when in World of Warcraft you have a season and you want to get an achievement. Now, in the beginning of the
Okay.
season, you don't have a chance to get the achievement because you have to farm the gear. But farming the gear is kind of time gated because you have to do it every week and get it from the raid because the raid is like logged every week, or your vault is logged every week if you're doing Mythic Plus and so on. So you have to like have this 2 months of farm period just to have an attempt at getting what you want to get.
Right.
And I really don't like FOMO like this.
Hmm.
When you know there is a super cool mount locked behind it, and you really want it, and then you like realize you're out of time after a while.
And you'll never get it again, like with the arena
Yeah.
mounts. Yep.
Or you couldn't get a guild because your previous guild just decided to quit the game like 2 days before the end of the season of the previous season, and then you just couldn't get a new one.
Yep. That right there, right? I feel like okay, again, not trying to be devil's advocate, but I feel like having something like that shows commitment and dedication to the point where that achievement becomes valuable and people do feel like they're missing out if they don't get it. And that I feel like
Why
encourages
time-gated then?
well, time gate it because the people will smash it out within 3 days. If not,
Well, and I don't see why that is a problem.
it's a problem because you consume all the content that they have made and they do not have any more. So I'm talking
Yeah, it
about on a
stops you
developer.
from continue to playing the game till the next season.
Yeah, to the next
I
thing.
agree with Arik here, though. I would agree with your point, Lamsey, if Blizzard didn't sell 40 euro cosmetics every 2 weeks in their
Fair point.
store.
Fair.
Then I would completely agree with your point. But them doing that and making the best cosmetics basically paid for. Time getter content has no sense. It's just something that people want to achieve, and okay, this is a cool mount that I do not have to pay for, more or less.
Right, I see. So the problem is with their monetization of the valuable quote unquote things of players. They basically pay for your
For me,
shiny
in this
thing.
conversation, yes.
Right. I see where you're
Yeah,
coming from. I see where you're coming from.
like I
Because
would have the same. I would have the same problem with Ashes if they did it, like Ari just now said for WoW, right? Because they're selling those cosmetics, very cool, majority of them,
yeah.
and they will keep selling them, and then you time get something with, I don't know, an event or whatever, which is again equally as cool as those paid for cosmetics, but it's time gated, you do not have time, or your guild is doing something else or whatever, right?
Right.
Yeah, like Lamsey, what you're saying there, like again, to kind of not argue against you or Avi, but I get what Avi's saying, but like what you're saying there, how certain mounts, for example, might show an achievement. I'll use the World of Warcraft one, the Feldrake mount that back in the day used to be like you were the fucking boyo if you had that. Is
mm.
it the Feldrake one? Is that what I'm
Um
thinking of?
It was the Spectral Tiger.
Spectral
Was it?
Tiger was a trading card one. Yeah, that's worth like fucking
Feldrake too.
thousands.
No?
I'm not too sure about Phil Drake. I can't remember.
Well, I know Feldrake was like, and I only know this because there was a lot of controversy on it. Because what happened was, I know Feldrake used to be fairly hard to get for whatever reason it was. I didn't play the game at the time, but I know it was. And then a couple years later, it was a Twitch drop on their channel, and everyone
Oh.
had it.
Yep. Same
Oh.
So
thing
it
happened
suddenly
with
became,
BDO and Pegasus.
Yeah, and 3
yeah,
days before someone bought it for 5k euros.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. You know what?
So it became like this. You were the guy if you had it. Now it's like everyone's got it.
No.
You missed out on a Twitch
Yeah.
drop.
I've actually fucking experienced, like, they've done that again, by the way. They've done that again with Tabard of the Frost. I had Tabard of the
Sounds about
Frost.
right.
I had Tabard of the Frost from a trading card game when I was fucking like 11 years old, right? And I had the fucking Tabard of the Frost, which was the rarest fucking Tabard in World of Warcraft, and has been for fucking years. They had it on a Twitch
I
drop
told you to
recently.
sell it.
It was
Yep.
worth 1,000. 1,000. I thought,
Yeah, I
yeah,
told
I
you to
am
sell
big
it.
bollocks. I put down my druid. I made a whole team mog around it, and I fucking felt like the guy. They fucked me. So I can understand that completely.
Even again, not to and like that big of an extent, but just to show how little they care. Like, you know how they've got the trading post at the moment, and you have to earn like an in-game currency to get like the best rewards from the trading post.
Yeah, like hundreds
As
of
soon
thousands
as
of gold.
that there was a mount or something that was in it, again, because I don't really look at transmogs and stuff. I hardly ever go to the trading post, but I know that, for example, there was like a mount that was in the trading post like last month or the month before, and you only were able to get that mount if you had the highest amount of trading post currency, which showed you played the game a lot. Again, showed you dedication, showed you commitment, everything you were saying before, Lamsey. And then as soon as it was no longer in the trading post, it was on the shop for £20,
Oh.
Yep.
like the in-game shop.
Oh. That is just, to be honest,
So
that's
it's
just
like,
disgusting. Like, Jesus
yeah,
fucking
you can,
Christ.
but like, so exactly, it's like you can do all this, but what's the fucking point?
Or you can pay £20
Or you can pay 20 quid.
You know
and
what?
get a
Yeah.
probably cooler one that is reskinned or repainted or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Right. So, what I'm gathering here is that with the context of the practices of the company, like, you cannot defend time gated content and fear of missing out, because they're already trying to just suck money from you, essentially,
Yeah.
with that time gated
Yeah.
stuff. That absolutely does seem like what they're
Yeah,
trying
to
to
kind
do
of
there.
like defend Arvy's point is you're going to be time gated. You've got that fear of missing out, or you're going to have to now pay money for it.
Yeah.
It's like it's
Same.
well then no. just out of spite,
Yeah,
because I'm that
absolutely.
kind of person, I'm not gonna have it. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
Yeah.
same thing as with Ashes of Creation and alphas, betas, and stuff like that, right? When you think about it, there's a huge fear of missing out, and when that was coming to close, I know a lot of people who were just like last week, oh shit, I gotta grab it. Oh fuck, it's almost over. There's that fear of missing out, as I said, like it's nothing special. It's an alpha to a game that will come out in the next X years, but yeah, just FOMO. No, it wasn't even for the skins. It was just for the alpha itself,
Yep.
which is crazy to me.
Well, yeah. I have learned some things today. This is great.
I mean, it's not well, it's not content, but it is also time gated.
But I still stand my point because I don't think it's a problem to finish a game too early, quote unquote, because there are a billion games out there. And although I think an MMO should provide a lot of content, but it's mainly to provide social content, so like playing with others, having fun with others, and that kind of content doesn't like, of course, a raid gets old after a while, but like PvP, you can always PvP.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can PvP at the end of the season, it's gonna be quite the same, even if you reach your points. But if you play with your team, with your guild, then it's gonna stay more fun than just PvPing by yourself, in my opinion at least. So
Absolutely.
I don't mind if I finish my goals early because then I can just enjoy the game freely
Yeah,
because
we all
I
think
don't
that,
have
but the big
I don't
executives in their big ivory towers
oh yeah.
with the fucking dollar signs in their eyes, we all think that, but they
Mm.
they
Yeah,
they
of course
try
they
and
want to
find a
chain
way.
you to their game.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly.
So I
Because
spend more money.
like you said, there is many other games out there. Not that we as a guild can fucking find one, but eventually one day. But like you said, that their whole job is I agree with what you're saying. I want to get things done. I want to get to max level as quick as possible, so then I can just play the game with my friends. 100% on board with that. I love that idea. But they're sat there going, how can we make it so that these people don't leave the game? Do you know what I mean? So I agree with you. Like it's bullshit. If that's your reason behind time gate and stuff, then yes, it's bullshit. And unfortunately, that is the reason with a lot of MMOs. I wish it weren't, but it is.
Mm.
I
But
mean, think about it. Who's going to most likely complete the time gated content? Very hardcore people, right?
Mhm.
With their hardcore guilds and who commit 8 to 10 hours.
But
And
what I
who's
see is
going
that they
to?
burn out.
Yeah, true. Also that, but then check other spectrum. Who is going to buy those months of the store? Everyone else,
Yep.
and some hardcore people, right?
I mean, you
So
spend thousands of hours, just $10 here and there, £10 even. Fucking hell.
yeah,
Doesn't really hurt. So it enhances the game, at least from a player perspective. Shiny, you know.
yeah, I know, but for a game that has hundreds of thousands of players, that encourages them to do that more and more often.
Yes. Yes, that is absolutely
So
the case.
Agreed.
Which is a damn shame. To be honest, I believe that the average player of this game is growing up and becoming more wiser to these practices. Especially with like the
absolutely not.
nah. Listen, with the embellishment of the internet and the age of information, I believe that the average MMO player who prefers to play MMOs and likes MMOs will know about those kind of things. I mean, I'm not fully in the know about them. Like, I've learned a lot by you guys' discussion today. But still, I feel like there is an element of that understanding that it is a business and they will try to fuck you. So like we're doing now, we're here, we're discussing this right now. I feel like it will come to fruition where those practices eventually change, right? Because if you look at Throne and Liberty, for example, that's a whole other thing. I can't wait to speak about that. But in essence, Throne and Liberty is an example of a already established MMO developer, NCSoft, who have done Aeon and other shit that I can't remember right now.
Did they do BDO? No, they didn't.
I don't think so. I
No,
think
they didn't.
That was
No.
Pearl Abyss, wasn't it? Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, with them, they're an established MMO developer. That's the main point. And they have backtracked on things to appease the MMO audience that are asking for it, right? So, for example, with the auto hunt, they removed that. With the combat, which was very stagnant and no one can move around, they got rid of that. People can move around now. They completely got rid of the mobile version. So it's an example of business practices changing based on basically paying no, voting with your wallet. That's the term, more or less. Like these other companies that are not backtracking on these kind of practices and are continuing to suckle money as much as they can from the cow that is MMO players, they're losing out on a lot of revenue because there are people that know about these practices and actively avoid them. So essentially, NCSoft is recognizing this and realizes, oh, okay, my product will not perform well in South Korea because that is a very whale environment. It's part of their gamer culture, similar to how we in the West hate pay to win stuff and auto playing and mobile games and all that shit. They've seen the videos of when Diablo Immortal was announced and the fucking crickets, and they thought to themselves, okay, maybe we will not go down that route when we have an MMO that can be enjoyed globally, right? I think it's a testament to the changes that are coming in when it comes to these developers creating MMOs, and also with like Ashes as well. They're at least being public and transparent, and you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Consistent. They're very consistent, right? There are some things that have some cracks and whatnot that we will go into on a different episode when we cover AOC. But it's also a testament to these businesses. Well, it's more of a passion project for Steven, but still a business. Trying to keep an audience happy, and it's definitely that time gated shit. That shit just needs to get thrown out the window. It's an example of something that should not exist. I do think that if you're gonna time gate something, you don't time gate it hard. If it's like a fucking, I don't know, seasonal event, for example, I can really do not care if a seasonal event, which could technically be a time gated thing, right? Because you have a limited amount of time to be able to participate within said event. Those kind of things are okay, but it's when the end game essentially is limited. I could definitely agree with that. And hopefully we will see developers really shift away from that in the future. Perhaps they'll see this and cry. But yeah, anyone else got any gripes about MMOs they want to bring up?
I think
I've
Ami's
had
had
another
another
one,
didn't
if I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of connected to the time gated FOMO, and this is the one that's gonna cause a division, I think. I say short seasons. I don't like short seasons.
Short.
Can you define what's a short season? Well, for
So
you, I guess.
a short season is when, let's say that the top guilds finish the content and there is only like a month left or so,
I
or like
see.
2 months, or like a very short time for the rest of the community, because it creates situations where, like, with first of all very high FOMO, and second of all, you don't really have time to actually do community stuff, because you have to like just focus on the in-game goals, and then just the community is like the whole community just becomes like this FOMO crazed beasts running forward into the goal and doing nothing else.
Right. It becomes too much of an objective and people don't really stop to smell the roses kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
And
not
this
playing the
is
game for enjoyment, then you're just playing it to get to it from A to B.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a very community faced person. Like, I play MMOs for the community. So if they take out the community, everything in an MMO, if they take out the community, I'm like, goodbye, okay, bye. Because I'm not interested in that. I can play a single player game that's like focused around me instead, if I would want to do that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
actually agree with
I
you
can
on that.
see. I
Yeah.
can see that. Yeah.
Nah, you got
I didn't think
full
about
agreement.
it before.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it before because, like, well, we always can't have people to play with. That it didn't really matter. Rush end game and well, who cares? But
Exactly.
yeah, if you're playing with a guild that is a bit slower or a guild that is just taking their time or whatever, and you're not being able to either enjoy your time in that guild or enjoy the game itself, then there's definitely a problem, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. I think what Arvy's saying is as well is like it, and one of the gripes I have with MMOs, but it's also not a gripe. It's more of a personal issue because since when I first got into MMOs, I love the idea of an MMO, but it can be in certain MMOs it can be hard to get into a community. So it's
Yes,
like,
that's what I was
Yeah.
about to.
Yeah.
That was another complaint.
all right, okay, sorry, but
No, go
like,
for it.
no, yeah, just like obviously it actually plays for the community, and a lot of people want to play MMOs for the community, but for someone who spent a lot of years playing MMOs solo, it sucks the life out of you because you're like, well, why am I doing this? I could, for example, I'll use ESO. I know they're two completely different games, but if I want to play ESO for the lore and the fantasy of being in the Elder Scrolls universe, I can just go play Skyrim. I
Yeah.
want a community. Do you know what I mean? And I think like it can be certain MMOs make it hard to get into communities. Or for example, when you're like, like a guild will be like, you have to have 50 million clears on the hardest content and have played the game since 1992.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah, yeah.
mean?
Absolutely, yeah. There is that kind of pseudo gatekeeping that is just there.
Hmm.
But because you haven't played the game from the very start, or do not play other games in the same kind of fashion. Like for example, we're a hardcore guild, right? We don't allow people who may not play the game as much as we would into our roster simply because we like people who are the same mindset as us. Will get along better, be around more. There's a lot of different reasons for that. Um, but yeah, when it comes to like game specific guilds and being gate kept from those, it seems very daunting, right? Like you're looking at these people and they just know everything and expect you to also know. So I can
In my
completely understand
opinion,
that.
Albion Online is the king of this.
Oh well,
Absolutely.
it depends. Well, yeah, true. If I didn't have
No,
the
it
people
doesn't.
that
It
I
doesn't
joined
depend
with,
at all.
no, if I didn't have the people I did enjoy that I joined with and played with, like yourself included, um definitely not. I wouldn't have bothered, 100%, because it is like you have to know your like it's very toxic. It's like if I compare it to any other game that in a different genre, right? It would be League of Legends in terms of toxicity. Like
Yeah.
absolutely, like it's the League of Legends of MMOs, I call it, and it's also because of how limited the moderation is on the game itself. Like
Mm-hmm.
the staff don't give a fuck. You could be spamming the N word, yeah. Staff would just put you on a ban for about what, an hour, and then you'll come off.
Yeah.
You do not get permabanned. There's no permabans in Albion. Like you could do anything in terms of speech or anything like that and not be banned. So
True.
it's a
Could go wrong.
yeah, what could go wrong, right? It's basically created a very, very, very toxic community that, the main thing is shitting on other people, right? I mean, that is the game in general, in essence. It's just shitting on other people. Like, they did make it completely PvP. So I
Oh yeah.
guess that's the kind of game, if you enjoy that kind of game, if you're like an Escape from Tarkov, shitter on everyone, kind of person, then absolutely Albion's MMO for you. But for like
Still, it isn't if you're late to it. I don't think personally because it's just,
if you're that
no, 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 no,
determined, if you're
no, no, no,
determined,
no,
I
no,
think you can.
no, 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 no. I don't think you can. Well, maybe it will take you a long time
Yeah,
because again, you have time-gated seasons first of all, as Arab said, and they're very short. They're 3 months, around there. So sure, you keep all of your gold, you keep everything, whatever. But if you go for one season, if you play one thing, next season that shit won't be in meta. There is no way, and you need good 120, maybe even more hours to grind that specific thing that you will play to tier 8, because tier 8 unlocks you to be able to do hardcore content, to be able to do open world PvP, black zones, basically end game, right?
Mm.
So if you're late, well, Albion has been out for 5-6 years. People that have been playing it for that time have everything on tier 8, have everything unlocked. They're good. You just go into the season, buy the things that they need for the gear set, whatever, figure out what's good, and that's it. You as a new player need to do all of that, and it takes thousands of hours.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. To actually get to grips with the PvP and everything, you're gonna have to do. You're gonna bank in 1,000 hours, 100%. If you want to get into the big guilds that are Zergen, get into the GVGs and the black zones, whatever the fuck, you thousands of hours, 100%.
I had 500 and I played only one GVG.
Yeah, it's insane.
And after it, I was bankrupt.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Like legit.
Sounds about right.
It's brutal.
It is brutal. I think that Albion is probably the least friendly when it comes to new players. Probably.
Yep.
That's very.
Well, Eve.
Well, actually, yeah, Eve. Yeah, you are right. But I guess they're two. Actually, no, they're quite similar in terms of economy and PvP, right? I'm pretty sure. It's very oriented around those two things. Yeah. Sweet. Anyone else got any things they want to bring up for MMO problems? Or are we all fresh out?
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
You know what it is? You're asking me not on the spot, and I could probably sit and complain all day.
True.
That's
True.
the kind of person I am.
I mean, we did cover quite a bit today. I think we can leave it there actually, because we've actually been on for 1 hour and 10 minutes, which is going to be a great pleasure for me later on when I have to video edit and everything. Lovely. So thank you guys for actually attending. It's been great. I've enjoyed myself a lot.
Thank you.
I've learned a lot. I've been surprised, shocked, frustrated, anxious, all in 1 hour. So thank you very much for the experience. I do hope we see you again. And yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Thanks, Funky, for the topics.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Thank you, yes.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
No problem.
I think that we didn't even get halfway through the list, if I'm completely honest, but we'll, it's going on a bit too long, so we'll wrap it up here. Thank you to everyone who has stayed for this long. Very, very pleased with the interaction in the chat as well. So GG's. Thank you all for coming. We will be streaming again in 2 weeks' time, Wednesday at 8 p.m. CET, 7 p.m. UK time. Just because I have to shout out to all my UK people. We hope to see you there.
Yes, sir.
The next topic will be up and coming MMOs and our expectations. We're going to be going into a little bit more detail in regards to the games that we're currently recruiting for, what they're all about, so why we're looking forward to them, etc. We'll be offering spaces for guests as well. So if any contestant members in the chat wants to actually hop on and just cope with us, because the next episode will just be pure copium. But yeah, thank you all for coming, and I hope to see you again.
Cheers, thanks.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Good
Thank you.
night.
See ya.